going on, guys? It's Swimzyy here, and today I have for you a new video on which operator melee is the best in the new Duviri Paradox update. Now, keep in mind, this will be my personal opinion on which is the best weapon in this update. If you have a different opinion, that is totally fine. Let me know down in the comments below. But some disclaimers before we start. I will not be using any decrees for these tests. It is going to be the base weapon itself, and we are going to test each one of them. We're going to list its quick attack, heavy attack, parry, and its new aim heavy mechanic. So with that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you could you please like, share, and subscribe, as every subscriber helps me out. And let's get into the video. Now, this is the Sun and Moon. This is the starter weapon that you get in this new update. So you've probably used this one already, but this weapon is a dual Nakana based weapon, and it has a quick attack, which are just forward thrusts. It has a heavy attack, which is an upward slash, and its aim heavy attack produces a horizontal beam that can target multiple enemies. So let's get into the weapon overview. So we are in the plains of Duviri, and I'm only going to do these bounty missions if they involve killing enemies, just so we can test the melee weapons out and it's not riddled with connecting power lines or hurting Thams. Alright, so this is the heavy attack. As you can see, it is pretty good. It is very strong and very quick. And the quick attack is pretty good as well. It's a bit slower, but it does some decent damage for a quick attack. Alright, let's test the new aim heavy. It produces a beam that can knock enemies over, and that means you can get in and deal tons of damage very easily. Now, I will show this in a little bit, but the aim heavy attack is actually very good against the archers, just because they keep moving away, but as they're drawing their bows to shoot you, you can aim heavy attack and that blade will pierce them and it'll stun them, and you'll be able to get a quick melee in. Alright. Let's test that. As you can see, it hit all of the enemies and it is doing lightning damage. Now, if you're wondering why I'm not using any decrees, it is because the decrees make the weapon stronger. So we are going to test this weapon out without any decrees, just so that we know which weapon does the most damage, which weapon is the fastest, and which weapon is the better weapon overall without any buffs. Let's see how it does against different types of enemies. Now, the heavy attack is very good with the Sun and Moon. It does a lot of damage, it is fairly quick, it's actually quicker than the quick attack, which doesn't really make sense, but for the damage it does, it is very good. As you can see, this guy is getting beaten off. I'll actually aim now. So it hits him, then you get a melee, quick melee in. Because these guys like to jump around, so it's really annoying. So with this weapon, the best bet is to actually heavy attack, just because it is really fast and it does the most amount of damage. Now, the aim heavy attack is also very, very good. It can hit multiple enemies at once, knocking them back, and it does lightning damage over time. So that is also a positive. So with this weapon and any other weapon, the heavy attacks are pretty much the best way of quickly killing any enemy in the Duviri paradox. There are a few exceptions, but I would rather heavy attack than quick attack, just because it's just so much faster. Okay, so this has been the Sun and Moon. Now we are going to test the Syam. Okay, so this is the Syam. It is the second pillar just across from the Sun and Moon, and it is a standard Nikana, and it looks pretty cool. I can't lie, it's got a really nice detail on the grip and the sheath. But this weapon is a single-handed Nikana, just like I said. It's very quick for quick attacks, and the heavy attacks are pretty slow. They're over the head, so they are pretty slow. However, I believe they do a lot of damage. And the aim heavy attack, you spin and do 2 slashes. Now if an enemy gets hit by that slash, they will be lifted up into the air and slowly damaged by these slashes. So this could potentially be the best aim heavy attack in this update. It is very powerful, so let's go showcase this. Alright, we are back in the plains of Duviri, and we're just going to test this Syam out. So this is the quick attack. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. The quick attack is pretty good for the Syam, and this is the perfect chance to showcase this. So they get lifted up into the air, and the slashes end up dealing damage. So this is a very hard hitting weapon. Alright, there are more enemies here. So let's test this parry. Actually, we'll get rid of this guy first. One of you is going to hit me. Now that is the parry. It is pretty much a double slash, and it is a very quick and very deadly parry. As you can see, the enemy just got lifted up and all of those slashes hit him, and he died very quickly. So this aim heavy attack is probably the best. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Sun and Moon heavy attack does more damage than this heavy attack. However, the heavy attack is still pretty fast, and the quick attack is faster. That's right, fall. The aim heavy attack is just way too good with this weapon. And the quickie attack is pretty decent too. And that parry does so much damage, it's actually ridiculous. Now, this one is actually very good for Thraxes, because the Thrax actually gets stuck in the air for a short period of time. So it actually does pretty good against them, because the Thrax are pains in the asses most of the time. So this could be a good weapon to use to actually kill them very quickly. This weapon is way too strong, man. The quick attack is very quick. It is very powerful as well. The heavy attack is good because it has a potential to stun the enemy. And the aim heavy attack is way too good. This heavy attack is also very good for the archers as well, just because they get stun locked while the heavy attack does damage. And like Thraxes just get destroyed with this. So that has been the Syam. Let's move on to the athozane. So here is the athozane, is the third pillar out of the 5, and it is a dual-handed heavy Nakana. So it is decently slow, however these attacks actually deal a lot of damage. The heavy attack is very slow, but it does a shit ton. And the heavy attack shoots out 5 blades that go towards the enemies. So this could be a very good weapon for crowd control, and it's going to be a hard-hitting weapon. So let's get into the planes of Duviri. Alright. So I'm going to test the heavy attack first. As you can see, it does cold damage and it hits a wide area of enemies. And the heavy attack does a ridiculous amount of damage. You literally need 1 heavy attack with 0 decrees to actually kill an enemy. 2 for the bigger guys. And that cold proc makes them slower, which means you can hit them twice before they attack. This weapon has the potential to be number 1 on my list. Let's try the parry. It's a one-shot parry. What can I say? It does 4,000 damage for a parry. That is crazy. I think this will be the fastest segment of the video as well. So the blades deal cold damage, which can be helpful for these bigger enemies since it slows them down. To test this weapon out, and the quick attack is pretty decent. It doesn't deal as much as I would like, but it does a lot. But I would recommend heavy attacking if you're going to use this weapon, just because it does so much more damage while heavy attacking. Let's try this parry again. He's not going to parry me. He can't. Like, this weapon is just plain unfair. When it comes to the Duviri weapons, this weapon is plainly just has a massive advantage over the previous 2 weapons that we've previewed. Like, it just does so much damage. Let's see if we can one-shot a Thrax. Now, I'm pretty sure we could one-shot a Thrax if we had, and if we were going to use the decrease. But 3 shots for a heavy attack is pretty good. This weapon is actually way too good. If you can one-shot heavy attack certain enemies, like, that deserves to be top of the list. But I will make this fair, and we will test the last 2 weapons and see which one prevails. The quick attack is actually surprising me. For a weapon that's meant for heavy attacking, the quick attack does a lot of damage. And the parry is just crazy. I mean, 4,000 damage for one parry? That's ridiculous. And the perk to heavy attacking with this weapon is that once you heavy attack, it's actually faster to heavy attack again instead of going heavy quick. So if you go quick, heavy, heavy, it's actually faster than going quick, heavy, quick, which is useful to know. Alright, well, that has been the athozane. Let's move on to the edun. So this is the edun. This is the second to last pillar, and it is a polearm. So the polearm will actually deal multiple swings per slash. So this will deal a lot more damage. And the heavy attack is pretty good. It's a sliding heavy attack, so it can wipe out a lot of enemies in a wide radius. And the aim attack is a void spike that lifts enemies up. I have to admit, this is probably the worst aim heavy attack, just because of the spike not hitting most of the time. But we will test this weapon out anyway. And the quick attack for this weapon is pretty good. It does multiple swings, which means it kills the enemy quite quickly. However, it is a bit weak. And the aim lifts the enemies up and actually pushes them out of the way. So you could actually miss the heavy attack radius because the radius is really small. So just keep an eye on that. If you're going to use this weapon, make sure you use it for the bigger enemies because you will guarantee hit them. That is the heavy attack. It's a nice swinging motion. And it does pretty decent damage. Alright, there is a bunch of enemies here. So let's test if we can hit multiple enemies. We can, but it is very rare to hit multiple enemies with this weapon. But a nice perk to this weapon is if you heavy attack one of the Dax Gladiuses about to charge the ground, if you heavy attack them, you will actually knock them over, which makes it very useful, instead of having to knock the enemy over with your aim heavy attack. So let's test that right now. Oh, of course, all archers, man. I couldn't test the parry. Okay. Come on, guys. Out of the bush. Let's be able to see it. Now the parry is pretty cool because you actually spin the polearm around. And it does a little bit of decent damage. This polearm is pretty good. I reckon the only thing that's letting it down is the aim attack. So the aim heavy attack may put this on the lower end of the list just because of the usefulness of that. You have the syam that completely just revolutionizes it, and you can hit more enemies at once. And the sun and moon can actually do that as well. So yeah, this may be on the bottom end of the list just because of how useful the aim heavy attack is. But don't get me wrong, this is a solid weapon. So the aim lift is actually pretty useful. It's just, I would prefer being able to lift the enemies up while doing damage. That only lifts them up, so yeah, it's useful. but it is not the best by far. But the quick to a heavy does pretty decent damage. Let's see if we can lift this guy up. We can knock him over. Go for the heavy attack. Nice swinging motions to build up that slash. So overall, this weapon is pretty good. I think the only thing that lets it down, as I said, is the aim heavy attack. It's a bit weak, but let's move on to the fifth and final weapon, the sampotes. So this is the fifth and final weapon, the sampotes hammer, and this weapon is a heavy attack based weapon. As you can see, the quick attack is very slow, and the heavy attack does a lot of damage, but the aim heavy attack is actually the more useful one because it drops an explosion that actually follows enemies. So this could be very useful. And because it's a hammer, it should deal a lot of damage and prove very useful. So let's go test it out right now. And if you heavy attack and the enemy is still alive, you actually hit them twice, which is very good. And the main aim attack actually produces heat, which is very good in the paradox. So let's test this parry. There we go. Literally, he just got slapped. That parry is way too good. Does so much damage. The heavy attack is really good, by the way. Oh, look at that. That actually goes through that guy's shield, so that is useful to know. Okay, how is it going to do against this guy? Nice heat damage. Wow. So you only need the aim heavy attack to kill a Thrax. You don't need anything else. And it knocks him over too, that's really good. Look at that, man. This hammer is really, really good. Let's try heavy attacking this Thrax. Okay, so 3 heavy attacks will do it. So yeah, this hammer is very good, and I highly recommend it. So let's go back to Teshin's cave and let's recap the weapons and what my tier list will be. Overall, all of these weapons are pretty good, but I will give you my tier list on which is the best weapon for me personally. You can agree with me, you can disagree, that's totally fine. If you disagree, let me know what your favorite weapon is from this update down in the comments section, and let's get into my top 5. So we're going to start with number 5, and number 5 is the edun Polearm. Now, this actually hurt me to do because I love polearms. Polearms are my favorite weapons in this game. But this weapon, although it is good and it swings multiple times per hit, the aim heavy attack just let it down for me, you know? Like, the lifting, it's good. It's good for its purpose, but sometimes you're aiming at an enemy and it just doesn't hit them. So that's why this weapon is number 5 on my list. Number 4 is the Sun and Moon. Now this weapon is a great starter weapon and it is very quick and its heavy attack is nice. and its aim heavy attack is a good radius based attack. However, I've noticed that the blade that you produce horizontally actually splits up and it can miss enemies in the middle, so that has actually really swayed me to put this at number 4. It is very fast, is very good, don't get me wrong, but it's just doesn't perform as well as the rest of these weapons. This was a hard one, but number 3 is the athozane dual-handed Nakana. Now, it is very powerful, it is very good, and the aim heavy attack is very good. However, I feel like it's just a bit too slow for my taste, and even though the damage is good, I could run number 1 or number 2 over number 3. So that is why I chose the athozane as number 3. Number 2 is the sampotes hammer. Now, this hammer is really good, its heavy attack is good, and its aim heavy attack sets people on fire. So it deals a lot of damage, is very good. The heavy attack is fast, the quick attack isn't fast, so if you're going to use this weapon, I recommend heavy attacking. And overall, it does really good. The heavy attack actually swings down and then up and then down again. So it does like a ×2 heavy swing. So it is very good. And yeah, number 1 is obviously the syam. The syam is just way too good. It's too quick. Its quick attack is strong. Its heavy attack is stronger. And its aim heavy attack, it just does everything. It lifts enemies up. It damages them while they're pinned down. And it just looks really cool. So that is my tier list. Please let me know down below your thoughts, and as always, please like, share and subscribe. It's been Swim, guys. Later. Fearless.